Welcome to the modern world, Northern Renaissance and Baroque. This is from Art of the Western World, and it is clip 4. We're going to travel back a little bit into the north of Europe because they didn't have access to all of the ancient artifacts around them, as did the south. So they had to continue to paint looking by observation only. And one of the things they developed with great facility for was oil painting. This is a terrific example by Jan van Eyck. It's called the Arnolfini Wedding Portrait. And in it we're going to explore together what is the meaning of all these symbols. So we're going to look at the mirror and the reflection in it. We're going to look at why does the chandelier have one candle with that is blown out. What is the purpose of the dog? Why are the man's shoes on the ground here? And each one of these we're going to discover the symbolism behind many of the northern Netherlandish paintings. We're also going to look at a terrific work by Hieronymus Bosch. It has 3 sections: the section representing heaven or pre-sin, a section representing the garden or the earth where things are relatively good, people are living a good life, and then on the far right we have hell. Hell is certainly the most interesting and I would say even entertaining aspect of the entire painting. It's a large altarpiece. In this we see lots of musical instruments that are used as instruments of torture. So we see that this gentleman has an instrument. We see that people are stuck inside of drums. We have here a bird king who's got a kettle drum on his head, is consuming a human who has birds flying out of his rear end. So it's a wonderful painting that depicts hell in a way that is almost amusing today by today's standards. At the time it was frightening, and it's a terrific work that students really enjoy. We're going to then go back to Italy to look at the Baroque period. The Baroque period is characterized by emotion. So while the church has a problem at this time trying to maintain its authority in Europe, they appealed to the emotion of their followers. Here we see a painting by Caravaggio. He was a tremendous painter. He was very interested in something called chiaroscuro, which he invented, which is that extremely strong light and deep, deep shadow. Makes for very dramatic images. This is an image of St. Thomas, who did not believe that the figure in front of him was actually Jesus. And so he needs to stick his fingers in Jesus's wound to know that it's really him. This is typical Caravaggio. Caravaggio is about the corporal, about the body. His figures are often dirty. They might look bloated. You see broken fingernails. You see people as the lowest that they could be. And he does this, and of course it's quite shocking, but it's also very powerful at the same time. After he dies, there are others that follow him. This is the first work by a woman that I've shown you in any of these clips. It's by a painter named Artemisia Gentileschi. She had a most unfortunate experience as a young woman. She was raped, and there was a court case against her attacker, and the court case did not go in her favor. So she learned how to paint watching her father, who was an excellent painter, and she painted scenes repeatedly of women exacting revenge on men. Graphic, violent, lots of light and shadow, as we have also seen in the Caravaggios. Then we can move to Spain, and here we see the court painter Velázquez painting a wonderful work called The Maids of Honor. This painting represents an image of this beautiful young woman who is here as, this is a wedding portrait, in that it's being sent out to many people in Europe who could be potential suitors. They sent the painting out very, very young. She's quite young here because Philip IV of Spain had a most unfortunate facial expression. He had an extremely large forehead, very long face. He was blonde, which was not a good look for him. He had kind of watery eyes. And so he sent out these images of his beautiful young daughter while she still was pretty. And they were hoping to marry her off to someone in the European courts. Another thing that Velázquez does here, there's 2 things more that are worthy looking at. One, he surrounds her with what we can only describe in the period as ugliness. So here he shows women who are not most beautiful in that way that they reflect and make her look more beautiful, as well as the dog, which again makes her look more refined, more sophisticated. The other thing that's there's a legend and a myth that goes along this, that Velázquez wanted to have more power for painters. He wanted them to be more respected than they were. And it is said that after he died, the king took a paintbrush and painted the symbol on Velázquez's chest here, the symbol that represented that he was a man of honor, and that was the symbol of Santiago. There's a legend whether or not he did it himself.